Valentine is making the ultimate heartbreaking sacrifice. He has turned himself in to the WSB, sharing a tear-stained, emotional goodbye with his daughter Charlotte and Carly, because he realizes that risking his own freedom to contact Z is the only viable play left on the board to save Jocelyn's life. The tension in these upcoming episodes is palpable, ladies. You can literally cut it with a knife. The sheer desperation radiating from heavy hitters like Carly and Valentine proves just how powerful, influential, and terrifying this Z character truly is. But who holds that much power? Who could possibly have the WSB, the International Criminal Underworld, and the Port Charles elite trembling in their designer boots? Let me tell you, when I saw the name attached to this insider leak, I had to read it 3 times to believe it. The true identity of the mysterious Z is none other than Johnny Zakara. Yes, you heard me correctly, my friends. The mob prince himself is pulling the strings. Let us take a little stroll down memory lane, shall we? For those of us who have been watching for years, you will remember that the last time we officially saw Johnny Zakara on our screens was way back in 2016. After being implicated in a massive laundry list of severe, unforgivable crimes, Johnny was convicted, sentenced to a lengthy prison term, and unceremoniously shipped out of Port Charles in disgrace. For nearly a decade, this charismatic, dangerous character has completely vanished from the canvas, leading so many of us veteran viewers to believe that his story was permanently closed. We thought he was rotting away in a maximum security cell at Pentonville or some federal facility, paying for the sins of his past and the chaotic, blood-soaked legacy of his father, the late, great, and utterly terrifying Anthony Zakara. But ladies, in the unpredictable world of daytime drama, a decade-long absence is never just an ending. It is the ultimate incubation period for the mother of all twists. This is where the leaked script details get absolutely insane. What if Johnny Zakara never actually spent all those years behind bars? What if, shortly after his transfer in 2016, he managed to orchestrate a brilliant, bloodless escape? Instead of making a grand public return to Port Charles, which would have immediately put a massive target on his back from the PCPD, the WSB, and the local mob bosses, Johnny chose a much darker, much more strategic path. He shed the notorious Zakara name, a name that carried too much baggage and too many enemies, and adopted the shadowy, untraceable moniker Z. Operating entirely from the impenetrable darkness, Johnny has spent the last 10 years meticulously building an underground empire that dwarfs anything his father ever created. He has the deep-rooted connections, the limitless offshore resources, and most importantly, the burning, unquenchable motive to construct a clandestine network capable of manipulating global events. Think about the psychological aspect of this, guys. Johnny has spent years festering in his hatred, plotting the ultimate, devastating revenge against the people he believes systematically destroyed his life, his family, and his future. He holds Sonny Corinthos, Jason Morgan, and Carly Spencer directly responsible for the tragedy and downfall of the Zakara dynasty. While Sonny has been busy playing the undisputed king of Port Charles, sipping his imported coffee and having casual strategy sessions with Rick Lansing, Johnny has been the invisible hand moving the chess pieces right under his nose. Sonny recently revealed a bold new strategy regarding the escaped Jen Sidwell, acting completely unbothered and arrogant, which even made Rick uneasy. But Sonny has absolutely no idea that the real threat isn't Sidwell. The real threat is the ghost of Johnny Zakara, who has been watching Sonny's every move, analyzing his weaknesses, exploiting his blind spots, and waiting for the exact perfect moment to strike a fatal blow to the Corinthos organization. And oh, the delicious, bitter irony of Carly Spencer's current predicament. This is the kind of storytelling that wins Emmy Awards, ladies. Carly is currently stomping around turning woods, aggressively demanding that Jack Brennan contact Z to save her precious daughter. Carly is literally begging for the intervention of the very man who has spent a decade plotting her ultimate demise. Can you imagine the look of pure, unadulterated horror on Carly's face when she finally realizes that the mysterious, omnipotent savior she is banking on is actually her former lover and bitter enemy, Johnny Zakara? It is the kind of poetic justice that soap operas are built on. Johnny has been watching Carly marry, divorce, scheme, and grieve, all while he sat in the shadows, holding the strings to her current nightmare. If you ask me, Johnny might even be the one secretly pulling Ross Cullum's strings, orchestrating this entire hostage crisis just to force Carly to her knees. He knows that the only way to truly break Carly Spencer is to threaten her children. By manipulating the situation so that Carly has to beg Z for help, Johnny is achieving a level of psychological dominance over her that is absolutely chilling. he is making her complicit in her own destruction. As the son of Anthony Zacchara, Johnny inherited a brilliant, albeit deeply twisted, tactical mind. He knows that you do not defeat Sonny Corinthos and Jason Morgan in a simple, straightforward shootout. They have survived countless gang wars. You defeat them by dismantling their family, their territory, and their sense of security from the inside out. By operating as Z, Johnny has managed to become an international power player. Even a seasoned lethal operative like Valentin Cassadine is terrified of the consequences of contacting him. Valentin is willing to sacrifice his own life, heading to Geneva to face the wrath of the WSB just to leverage Z's influence. That tells you everything you need to know about the kind of terrifying reputation Johnny has cultivated in the criminal underworld over the past 10 years. He is no longer just a reckless mob prince. He is a shadowy emperor who commands fear from the most dangerous men on the planet. Let us dig deeper into how this impacts the rest of the canvas, because a casting shakeup of this magnitude sends shockwaves through every single storyline. Think about Jack Brennan. Brennan is a former WSB director, a man of immense resources and intelligence. Yet, even Brennan speaks of Z with a mixture of reverence and extreme caution. Why would a WSB titan negotiate with a former Port Charles mobster? Because Johnny didn't just escape prison, he compromised the very institutions meant to keep him there. He likely used the hidden Zacchara billions to buy off politicians, WSB agents, judges, and international mercenaries. Brennan knows that Z holds the keys to the kingdom. Everything that happens in Port Charles right now is a carefully orchestrated symphony, and Johnny Zacchara is the conductor waving the baton in the dark. And what about Lulu Spencer? Lulu is finally awake, recovering, and opening up honestly to Dante Falconeri. She is receiving crucial intel from Nathan Passius Faison and trying to rebuild her life. But we all know that Lulu and Johnny have a massive, incredibly complicated, romantic history. If Johnny is Z, his return is going to send absolute shockwaves through Lulu's fragile recovery. Will Johnny try to reclaim the woman he once loved? Will Dante, who is currently deepening his relationship with Elizabeth Baldwin, have to drop everything to protect his former wife from her dangerous ex-husband, who is now an international crime lord? The dramatic potential here is absolutely staggering, and the writers are setting the stage for a love triangle wrapped in a mob war. Furthermore, we have to consider Ava Jerome. Ava is currently hanging out at the gallery, discussing Trina's future, and dealing with Ethan Lovett's cunning blackmail regarding his paternity of Phoebe. But Ava has deep, unbreakable ties to the mob world. The Jerome family and the Zacchara family share a dark, intertwined history of blood and betrayal. If Johnny is back and calling the shots as Z, Ava's entire power structure could be threatened, or, knowing Ava, she could see an opportunity and become his greatest, most lethal ally. Imagine Ava, Jerome, and Johnny Zacchara teaming up to finally take down Sonny Corinthos once and for all. That is a power couple that would set the entire town on fire. Now, let us get to the absolute climax of this insider leak, because the upcoming episodes are going to deliver a cinematic masterpiece that we will be talking about for years. The leaked scripts indicate that we are building toward a massive, heart-stopping confrontation where the breadcrumbs finally come together. Characters like Jason Morgan, who has always had an uncanny, almost supernatural sixth sense for danger, are going to start noticing a terrifying pattern. A frozen bank account here, a compromised WSB file there, a specific type of ammunition used by Jen Sidwell's mercenaries, all the signature, undeniable hallmarks of the Zacchara syndicate. The realization is going to hit Jason and Sonny like a runaway freight train. All roads, all the chaos, all the recent tragedies in Port Charles lead directly back to a man who is supposed to be locked in a federal cage. The climax of the upcoming sweeps week is rumored to feature the physical, on-screen unmasking of Z. Picture this scene, ladies, because the script details are giving me goosebumps. A dimly lit room, perhaps an abandoned warehouse on the docks, or the hidden sub-basement of Windermere. Sonny and Jason burst through the heavy metal doors, guns drawn, expecting to find Jen Sidwell or a rogue WSB agent like Ross Cullum. Instead, a high-backed leather chair slowly swivels around, and sitting there, illuminated by a single shaft of light, with that trademark, arrogant, infuriating smirk, is Johnny Zacchara. The dialogue in the leaked script is reportedly absolutely chilling. Johnny doesn't flinch. He looks Sonny dead in the eye, takes a slow sip of his drink, and casually declares that he hasn't seen the inside of a prison cell in nearly a decade. He tells them that throughout all their triumphs, their losses, their marriages, and their wars, he has been right here. He has been breathing the same air, watching them sleep, funding their enemies, and meticulously preparing for the greatest, most devastating comeback in the history of Port Charles. He wasn't locked away. He was simply waiting for them to grow comfortable, to grow weak, so he could strike when they least expected it. This level of long term storytelling is exactly what the fans have been begging for. For years, we have complained that the mob storylines have grown stale, that Sonny never faces a villain who truly understands his history. Cyrus Renault was a threat, Pikeman was a nuisance, but Johnny Zakara? That is deeply, painfully personal. Johnny knows where all the bodies are buried because he helped bury some of them. He knows how Carly's mind works. He knows Jason's tactical playbook inside and out because he survived a brutal war against them. This isn't just business. This is a blood feud that has been marinating in the dark for 10 long years. So, I have to ask you guys, because my mind is spinning with all these possibilities. When Johnny finally steps out of the shadows and looks Carly in the eye, do you think she will fall to her knees and beg for mercy? Or will the crushing realization hit her that she signed her own daughter's death warrant by blindly asking Z for help? How will Sonny react when he realizes his bold strategies were nothing but child's play against the new Zakara Empire? Sound off in the comments below. Let me know your wildest theories. And until next time, keep your eyes peeled, trust no one, and keep your doors locked.